Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Navigating Global Regulations, How Strategic CDX Approvals Empower Pharma Partnerships. My name is Kevin Flug of LabRoots, and I'm going to be your moderator for today's event. Today's educational web seminar is presented by LabRoots and brought to you by BurningRockDx. We encourage you to participate today by submitting any questions you may have during the presentation. To do so, simply type them into the Ask a Question box and click Submit. We'll answer as many questions as we have time for at the end of the presentation. You may also use the Ask a Question box to let us know if you're having any troubles seeing or hearing the presentation. I'd now like to welcome our speakers for today's webinar. Jenny Tao, Regulatory Affairs Director at BurningRockDx LLC, and Yuko Shiroki, Marketing Specialist at Recongenesis Co. Ltd. Jenny, you are going to begin. We're excited to have both of you guys here. So whenever you guys are all set, Jenny, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you for your introduction. Good morning, afternoon, everyone. I'm Jenny, Regulatory Affairs Director at BurningRockDx. Thank you for joining today's session. I'll be sharing our strategies for global companion diagnostic development with a focus on how we align with the multi-regional needs of the pharmaceutical partners. Here is our agenda. We'll start with a brief overview of Burning Rock, then compare how companion diagnostics are defined in China, EU, and US. After that, we'll walk through the regulatory pathways in each region. Finally, I'll present the strategic framework for integrating CDX into global multi-regional clinical trials. Burning Rock was founded in 2014 with a mission to guide life through science. Over the past 12 years, we have grown from a local service provider to a global partner. Our service now include biomarker testing, genomic data analysis, CDX development, and patient recruitment. We support over 140 pharmaceutical partners worldwide. We have continuously upgrade our capabilities across the clinical testing, intelligence system, and regulatory compliance. This multi-dimensional improvement allows us to meet the highest standard and support global biopharma business effectively. Our quality system has been validated through more than 200 official inspections and audits. Notably, we are past 19 CFDI inspections, including investigator site and clinical laboratory inspections. These achievements demonstrate our readiness for global regulatory compliance. Now let's move to the first major topic, defining companion diagnostic across different regions. The definition of companion diagnostic under NMPA, FDA, and IVDR share common ground, but also have critical differences. All three recognize CDX for identifying patients who will benefit from a treatment and for identifying patients at increased risk of serious adverse events. However, the FDA also include monitoring treatment response as a CDX function. This is not specific in the Chinese and the European regulatory frameworks. These differences directly impact the regulatory strategy and the evidence package required in each region. Now we are focused on the specific regulatory pathway for CDX in the US, EU, and China. In the US, most CDX devices are Class 3 and require pre-market approval. Recently, FDA published down classification proposal for some Class 3 products, including CDX product, which means 510K could be as regulatory pathway for the CDX. Which will shorten CDX approval timeline and reduce development effort. And FDA strongly encourages co-development and co-approval of CDX and therapeutic. Pre-submission involving both CDRH and CDR are essential. Simultaneous submissions and cooperative review are the expected norm. These slides show the FDA's preferred approach, co-developing the CDX and the drug together. As you can see, the drug and the CDX timeline run in parallel for early development through to the pivotal stage. The goal is to achieve FDA co-approval, meaning both products are approved at the same time. Two critical elements in this process are the co-development or CTA bridging study, which aligns both sponsors. And for the bridging study, which is used when the CDX is not available from the start of the trial. This integrated approach helps bring the drug and the diagnostic to the patients together without delays. Let's talk through the PMA review process, which is standard pathway for most CDX devices in the US. The process begins with identifying the classification and regulatory pathway for most CDX. This is a Class 3 requiring pre-market approval. Next is product development, followed by a pre-submission or QSUB to engage with FDA earlier. Then we move to the IDE and the clinical study phase. After the clinical data are collected, we prepare and submit PMA dossier. The FDA then conducted its review and facility inspection, leading to final approval. During the regulatory process, a key step is study risk determination. If the study is determined as a significant risk, that means an investigational device examination must be filed before the device is used for the clinical trial. For non-significant risk studies, IRB approval may be sufficient. For some products, may be exempt from IDE regulation. For example, the approved devices and some IVD products. Due to the SRD result impact on if the CDX need IDE approval or not before its use in drug clinical trial. Here is critical to prepare the SRD and IDE package earlier to avoid delaying the drug trial. Now let's walk through the step-by-step process for submitting an investigational device exemption to FDA. This is a critical pathway when a CDX is used in a significant risk study. In the step 1, we will prepare the IDE package, including the clinical protocol, investigators brochure, and the risk analysis report. Then we move to step 2, that we need to conduct a risk assessment. Initial assessment is done by the investigator and the sponsor. Final determination is made by the IRB or FDA. Then we move to step 3, obtain the IRB approval. After that, we can in the step 4, we can submit the IDE application to FDA, including the clinical plan, device information, informed consent documents. Then in step 5, FDA reviews the application within 30 days. In last step, FDA issue an approval or rejection notice. If approved, the study can be proceed. If rejected, modify and resubmit is needed. The structured process ensures that CDX is properly vetted before being used in a pivotal clinical trial, aligning with FDA expectations for the patient safety and the data integrity. In this slides, we can see after the clinical study finished, we'll submit PMA dossier to FDA. For this PMA process, FDA first conducts an acceptance review to ensure the application is complete. If accepted, the agency moves to a filing review, where they decide whether to formally file the application for substantive evaluation. Once filed, substantive review begins. During this phase, FDA may issue questions or deficiency letter that need to be addressed. Throughout the review, there are opportunities for interaction with FDA, such as a day handler meeting or advisory panel, if needed. The final decision is typically reached within the MDUFA review timeline, resulting in either approval or request for further interactive review. In this slide, we move to the EU IVDR part. EU IVDR regulation uses new classification scheme, which called risk-based classification. Here we can see CDX are classified as Class C IVDs and require notified body review. Under EU IVDR, there are 3 scenarios for companion diagnostic development. You can see in this slide, they have 3 scenarios. The first one is co-development CDX. We also know this as original CDX. This is a device developed alongside the medicinal product. It is typically the CDX used in the pivotal clinical trial. Co-development can happen either for initial marketing authorization or for a new indication of an existing product. In second, we can use the follow-on pathway. This is a device that seeks the same intended use as the original CDX, but was not developed together with the drug. It may use a different IC technology than the original CDX. The last one we call the legacy CDX. These are companion diagnostics that were placed on the market already under the previous LVDD regulation. A legacy CDX can be either a co-development or a follow-on device. Understanding these 3 scenarios helps determine the regulatory pathway and the evidence requirements for CDX under IVDR framework. In this slide, we talk about clinical performance study application. This is a critical step before we use this IC in the drug pivotal trial. The performance study application process usually can take 4 to 6 months. Requirements vary by country. Some have additional local documentation or specific timelines. The key information is we need to close collaboration with the pharmaceutical partner. It's essential to provide necessary drug study information and to align with the drug clinical trial schedule. A PSA is a critical step before the IC is used use the patient testing in the drug trial in EU. Here we talk about CDX regulatory process in the Europe. In these slides, we can this overview process begins with LVDR application. The manufacturer submit technical documents to the notified body. After a completeness check, the notified body conducts a technical review and the site inspection. A key step is the EMA consultation, which is mandatory for CDX. Finally, the notified body completes its review and issue a decision. Now let's take a closer look at EMA consultation process. During the EMA consultation, the notified body submits an application to EMA. EMA reviews and provides questions within 60 days. The applicant's response and EMA gives its final opinion within another 30 to 6 days. The notified body then incorporate EMA's opinion and make the final decision. Then we go through the China CDX development pathways. In China, CDX development follow two main pathways based on whether CDX is an original or non-original IC for the drug trial. And the NMPA has issued guidance for both. For the original CDX, the co-development pathway require early alignment between the IVD and the drug sponsors. In this slide, we can see in China, the clinical data for CDX registration is primarily based on IVD clinical performance study and CDX evidence. For the clinical performance study, it compares the investigational CDX with an already approved product or a reference method. This study is conducted by the CDX vendor. Also, for this IVD clinical performance study, is a China-specific requirements. Now let's look at the different scenarios for the generating CDX clinical evidence. In the scenario 1, if the CDX is used directly for the patient enrollment in the drug trial, the drug study data itself can serve as a CDX evidence. In scenario 2, if a clinical trial assay is used for the patient enrollment, a bridging study can provide necessary CDX evidence. For the scenario 1 and the scenario 2, is for the original CDX. For the scenario 3 to 5 is for the non-original CDX. Now we look at scenario 3. If the biomarker is listed in the CMD guidance, a follow-on study may be sufficient as evidence. If leftover samples from the drug study are available, a bridging study comparing with the original CDX can be used. In the scenario 5, if a bridging study is not feasible, an observational study evaluating drug efficacy using either the original or investigational CDX may be conducted after drug approval. These scenarios provide flexibility for different development pathways while meeting NMPA requirements. This slide outlines the CDX development process in China, which runs in parallel with the drug clinical study. Now let's walk through the CDX development pathway, which follows a structured stage-by-stage approach. First, project setup. This includes feasibility assessment, design, planning, and on the quality and regulatory requirements. Second, panel design. Second, we will do the panel design and development. We define the panel content based on the regulations and guidance, then move into the development, selecting raw materials, optimizing the reaction system, and establishing the cutoff value. In third step, GMP transfer is needed. The kit is manufactured under GMP conditions to ensure consistency and quality. In the fourth step, the analytical validation, we evaluate accuracy, precision, limit of detection, specificity, stability, and other required parameters. After that, in the fifth step, tap testing, we will perform the tap testing by 3 loss reagents. The tap testing is a China-specific regulatory requirements. We must finish tap testing before the CDX joined the joint pivotal study. In the sixth step, clinical study. This involves a protocol development, site screening, ethic approvals, sample testing, and final reporting, and the GCP oversight. And in China, as we talked about previously, for the clinical study, we have 2 parts. One part we call this IVD clinical performance study. I just have give a description about this. In parallel, we can conduct this conduct this bridging study or the patient enrollment in the drug study by this CDX IC. Finally, we can, after the clinical study finished, we can do this CMD submission. In this CMD review process, is similar with the FDA review. After filing acceptance, the technical review start. It takes about 90 working days with a GMP audit conducted in parallel. If the supplemental information is requested, the sponsor has 1 year to respond. The review for supplemental documents takes another 16 working days, followed by the NAPA review and approval within 20 working days. The experience on the comprehensive process ensure that the CDX meets NAPA requirements for the safety, quality, and clinical performance. In this slide, we talk about here are the key requirements for the CDX. Key requirements for the CDX used in the drug clinical trials. Before drug pivotal trials, the CDX must be product locked and manufactured under GMP conditions. This include completing analytical validation, cutoff value studies, and tap testing of 3 reagent lots. CDX could be used for patient enrollment or bridging study after these activities are finished. In this slides, here are the key requirements for bridging study in China. The first one, we can see when we can start bridging study. After tap testing is done, the CDX kit could be used for the use in the pivotal trial. And for the sample requirements in the bridging study, this is includes from the CMD opinion. They suggest we need to include as many samples as possible, and if using MRCT data include both overseas and China samples. We also need to do the bridging study for the overseas sample part. For the positive samples, the requirement is for the positive samples must come from the drug trial. For negative samples may come from other sources. If we they recommend use the original tissue or plasma as sample type if possible. If we using DNA sample type in the bridging study, we need to do the extraction reagent equivalent study. For the bridging study, the objective include two key points. We need to show the concordance between the clinical trial IC and the final CDX. And we also need to demonstrate equivalent drug efficacy between the two IC. For the statistical analysis, we need to include some 4 elements. First, we need to compare the patient's demographics. Then we also need to calculate the agreement rates between the assays. And also, we need to confirm the drug efficacy outcomes between the CTA and the CDX. These requirements ensure the bridging study supports NMPA registration. In this slide, we highlight the key updates expected in the new NMPA CDX guidance. This new policy is expected to be published by NMPA by the middle of this year. So let's see the what's new in this new CDX policy based on the NGS panel. First, it's about this NGS panel design. In this policy, NMPA also allow tier 3 genes can be included in the panel. This allows for expandability to support future drug development without needing to design a new small panel. Second, for the intended use, still limited to the tier 1 and tier 2 genes. It could be claimed in the intended use. Comprehensive profiling is still not accepted as an intended use by NMPA. Third, we talk about a registration unit. Multi-cancer type now can be included in a single registration unit. Currently, only long and colorectal cancer can be combined. But future, we can consider drug development. We can consider multi-cancer type in one registration unit. And fourth, the last one will be in this the last new point in this new policy. It's about follow-on CDX. For the new biomarkers, clinical utility can be demonstrated through a concordance study, comparing within the primary CDX using PPA and NPA data instead of a full bridging study. Currently, this approach is only currently this approach is only allowed for a few mature genes. This change mark a significant step forward in flexibility and efficient for CDX development in China, bring NMPA requirements into closer alignment with FDA, IVDR, and PMDA, and one IC for global approach achievable. So here we the last topic. Let's talk about how to increase this now let's increase this original insights into a unified global CDX strategy. This is our global co-development strategy, one IC design for multi-regional clinical trials. We start with IC feasibility and parallel regulatory preparation, FDA study risk determination, NIPA type testing, and IVDR performance study application. Next, we conduct analytical performance evaluation followed by the clinical performance studies, including NIPA clinical validation and FDA external reproducibility across multi-sites. Meanwhile, the drug pivotal study runs concurrently with patient testing in the US, China, and EU using the same IC. Finally, we submit registration FDA, EU, IVDR, and NMPA in a coordinated global filing. In this strategy, these activities across region, like the IDE preparation for the US, type testing for China, and the PSA for Europe, so that the patient testing can be begin concurrently in all regions. The CDX submission then follows the drug pivotal study. We aligned with the regional requirements, so we can achieve one IC, one package global submission. By designing for the submission package, we can by designing the analytical and the clinical validation study to meet the needs of all three regions. We can leverage a single data package, although specific requirements differ. A well-structured dossier can support simultaneous or sequential submission to FDA and NMPA and EU notified bodies. This approach reduces duplication and accelerate time to the market. Here, we can see Burning Rock has established a strong global regulatory footprint. We have directly experience with the FDA and NMPA EU notified bodies and PMDA in Japan. This local presence combined with the centralized coordination enable us to navigate regional trials while maintain a consistent strategy. Thank you for your attention. I hope this overview has been helpful. Now I'll pass to Yoko.
Thank you, Jenny. And next, please. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today. The purpose of this presentation is to introduce our services and explain how we support market entry in Japan. It's titled Weekend Genesis as a Gateway, Successful Approval and Launch of OncoScreen Plus CDX System in Japan. Here is an overview of what we will cover today. Before we dive in, please allow me to briefly introduce myself. I am Yoko Shiroki, a CDX marketing specialist. I lead the market strategy and commercialization for OncoScreen Plus here in Japan. Next, please. And now I'd like to introduce our company, Weekend Genesis. Since our establishment in 2007, we have been a pioneer in the Japanese genomic market. We are more than just a testing laboratory. We serve as a strategic gateway for our global partners. Our head office is in Osaka, Tokyo, with our primary laboratory in Kawasaki, where it's next to Tokyo, and additional facility in Kobe, Western Japan. Importantly, we are backed by two major shareholders, Sysmex Corporation and Toppan Holdings, giving us a highly robust corporate foundation. Next, please. And since our founding in 2007, we have been continuously evolving to meet industry needs. For global partners, our quality assurance is our strongest asset. We possess full licensure for the manufacturing, distribution, and sales of highly controlled medical devices in Japan. Next, please. Now let me walk through our 5 core business pillars. First, contract gene analysis. We provide cutting-edge genomic analysis. Previous slide, please. Oh, thank you. Now let me walk through 5 core business pillars. First, contract gene analysis. We provide cutting-edge genomic analysis technologies such as advanced genotyping and sequencing. Second, clinical sequencing. Dedicated to advancing genomic medicine, we utilize next-generation sequencers to conduct genetic testing. And third, diagnostic and reagents. In this division, we develop and manufacture and distribute high-quality research reagents and IVD. Fourth, drug development support. We partner with pharmaceutical companies across the entire drug development life cycle, which includes everything from CDX development to navigate regulatory approval. And finally, artificial nucleic acid. We develop nucleic acid therapeutics and manufacture BNA, a highly functional artificial nucleic acid that underpins advanced genetic testing technologies. Next slide, please. In 2017, we established our primary laboratory near Haneda Airport. This purpose-built facility was designed from ground up specifically for high-precision genomic analysis. We have, next slide, please. We have a wide variety of equipment for genetic analysis and built a system that can respond at the latest trend. And whether your project requires high throughput NGS, we have the technology. We collaborate worldwide to ensure we offer the best-in-class assays. Our quality system is supported by extensive licenses and certifications. For gene analysis laboratory, ISO 15889 certifications and certified service provider for major platforms like Illumina and Sam Fisher. For IVD and medical devices, we hold marketing authorization for both IVD and medical devices and license manufacturer and wholesaler. And we provide true one-stop services for drug development. From basic biomarker discovery in clinical stages to clinical trial and regulatory applications. And leveraging the technologies shown here, we can also propose and execute the development of custom assays tailored to your specific needs. If you are a foreign IVD company looking to enter Japan, this is where I bring immune barrier. We act as a marketing approval holder, MAH, or designated marketing approval holder, DMAH. The primary difference between MAH and DMAH is ownership. As a MAH, the Japanese company holds the license directly. In a DMAH scheme, we act as a regulatory gateway for our international partners. When launching the international product in Japan, it is mandatory to obtain regulatory approval from a PMDA. We support everything from PMDA consultations and clinical performance studies to manufacturing operations. And we have strong track records of successful IVD and CDX products in the market. And we also recently developed a P-Light methylation detection kit, the world's first real-time PCR IVD for detecting DNA methylation status to assist in colorectal cancer drug selection. And today's main topic, OncoScreen Plus. This is our first NGS-based IVD product. So now let's dive into the main topic of the day, OncoScreen Plus CDX, or SP, regulatory approval and commercialization. Before we dive into the detail of the OSP launch in Japan, I crucially understand the unique landscape of the Japanese cancer genomic medicine system and exactly how CGP is positioned within it. Under the Japanese National Health Insurance System, CGP testing is covered only once per patient's lifetime. Furthermore, it's strictly limited to patients who have either completed or expected to complete their standard treatment. Because of this rule, if our test is performed before the start of treatment, it must be reimbursed as a CDX. On the other hand, if we want to reimburse it as CGP, the process requires an expert panel, which is a multidisciplinary board of specialists, including oncologists and pathologists and medical genetics, together to thoroughly review the genetic result and determine the treatment for patients. In addition, the facility permitted to perform CGP under national insurance are highly restricted. It can only be conducted at specific government-designed hospitals. These are categorized as core hospital, designated hospital, and affiliated hospital for cancer genomic medicine. This means that the remaining 700 sites as other hospitals are effectively unable to provide CGP testing under health insurance coverage. This created a critical bottleneck for new therapies, capivasertib. For primary CDX for capivasertib was initially limited to Foundation 1. Since Foundation 1 is categorized as a CGP in Japan, those 700 hospitals were regulatory excluded from using it. This means that even if a doctor wanted to prescribe capivasertib, they have no approval pathway to run the necessary CDX. The challenges for capivasertib were not limited to facility restrictions alone. We also faced a significant hurdle regarding the economic front. In Japan, As you may know, Foundation 1 is approved for both CGP and CDX. However, the reimbursement price differs significantly between the two. As CGP, the reimbursement is 440,000 JPY. As CDX, it's only 120,000 JPY. The critical issue is that the service price, the cost the hospital pay, remains constant at approximately 404,000 JPY. When using Foundation 1 as CDX, before starting the standard treatment, the hospital only receives 120,000 JPY reimbursement, while they can eventually claim the remaining 320,000 JPY. After completing standard treatment and conducting an expert panel, the hospital must cover the price differences in interim. Furthermore, if the patient does not proceed to the CGP phase after standard treatment, that deficit remains a permanent financial burden for the hospital. These issues have led patients to restricted access to CDX testing, and there has been a strong need for CDX that all hospitals can use. So our goal was clear. We need follow-on CDX with reimbursement covered price and broader access. And this is exactly where OSP comes in. OSP was the breakthrough solution that resolved this dual barrier, access and cost. It used next-generation sequencing on FFP tumor tissue, and OSP is approved as only CDX, so the CGP restrictions do not apply to OSP. Also, the testing price is affordable under the CDX reimbursement. Recon Genesis is marketing authorization holder, and we are also the testing lab. So the reagent and analysis program are manufactured, provided by BurningRock. And this project requires collaboration across many stakeholders, AstraZeneca and BurningRock, and MGI providing sequence reagents, and testing center, SLL, and sample logistics for the testing service. We maintain close and ongoing communication with AstraZeneca and SLL, collaborating to deliver high-effective promotional initiatives. Now let's move on to the overall roadmap of our project. The first contact with BurningRock was 2023, and collaboration agreement in September 2024, and regulatory submission in April 2025, and approval in mid-September 2025, and the reimbursement approval in mid-October, and launch of the testing services in late October. We can break our journey down into three distinct phases. Phase 1, feasibility and contract. We focused on timeline assessment and commercial negotiations. And Phase 2, regulatory submissions. This was a high-intensity phase involving PMDA consultation and our CDX applications. And Phase 3, launch preparation. We finalized our workflow, portals, and logistics for seamless rollout. I would like to emphasize how short the review time. We achieved launch in just 6 months post-submission. This is obviously incredible achievement and would never have been achieved without the efforts of all stakeholders. And next, I'd like to highlight the 3 key strategies driving our rapid turnaround. First, strategic expected review status. Through proactive engagement with the MHLW and PMDA and strong advocacy from AstraZeneca, we secured priority designation by aligning our shared goal of rapid market entry. We successfully minimized the review timeline to meet urgent patient needs. Second, agile inquiry management. We maintain a rapid response protocol from the first PMDA inquiry to final approval by utilizing direct phone consultation instead of relying solely on written correspondence. We resolved minor query in real time and prevented administrative delay. Third, optimized global liaison. To manage technical inquiry with our international partner, BNO, we completely streamlined our coordination. We replaced the time consultation email chain with ad hoc virtual meetings for complex issues, enable on-the-spot decision-making, and drastically minimize wait time. Sorry, to close my presentation, the OncoScreen Plus solved two major problems for capivasertib CDx in Japan: the reimbursement gap and hospital availability. The testing service has been already started, and we have received over 1,500 orders for the past 4 months. I hope this product will help more patients receive much treatment. Thank you for very much. And please let me know if you have any questions.
Well, thank you both very much for your informative presentations. We're now going to start the live Q&A portion of the webinar. If you have a question you'd like to ask, please do so now. Just type them into the Ask a Question box and click Submit. We'll answer as many questions as we have time for. And with that, I'm going to bring back on both of our presenters. And we have already a lot of great questions coming in from the audience, so we'll dive right into it. Jenny, it looks like the first question is for you. The question asks, at what stage of development can a CDX be used to enroll patients in the pivotal clinical trials?
Okay, a CDX can be used to enroll patients in pivotal clinical trial only after key regulatory and technical milestones are achieved. In China, after obtaining the TAP testing report, the CDX can participate in the drug study from the first subject enrolled, or a bridging study may be conducted. In the US, the SRD, study risk determination shall be finalized for the significant risk studies after IDE is approved. For the non-significant risk studies, ARB approval is obtained. The study risk determination and IDE package should be prepared earlier to avoid delaying the drug trial. In the EU, for the performance studies involving European samples, a performance study application must be notified to the competent authority. The investigational CDX can only be used in the clinical trial after PSA is approved. PSA review typically takes 4 to 6 months, and the process must be completed before patient enrollment in the relevant EU countries. These requirements ensure the CDX is sufficiently validated and regulatory ready at the time of patient enrollment in the pivotal trial.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. And Jenny, follow-up question to that, which I think I'm going to toss to you, another clinical question. When should the development of a CDX be considered during drug clinical development?
I think for the CDX development, it should be initiated during the preclinical or early clinical phase of the drug development, and must be sufficiently advanced to support patient enrollment in the pivotal trial. Delaying CDX development until after pivotal trial risk requiring bridging study or delaying regulatory approval, particular in China and the EU. So we recommend we can to seek CDX partner and have a collaboration as early as possible during the drug development.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Yuko, looks like we got a couple questions here for you. First question is, what is one unique point about the Japan oncology CDX market compared with other regions?
Thank you. CDX approach is essential for doctors to prescribe targeted therapies in Japan. In other geographic regions, oncology NGS IVD kits may be sold separately without CDX status alongside an approved drug provided the specific regulatory requirements are met. While these other regulatory bodies may require their own independent submissions, obtaining CDX status in Japan could greatly facilitate clinical uptake and accelerate regulatory approval in these corresponding regions.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. And Yuko, another question for you. Why is appointing the right company to act as MAH so important to successful CDX registrations in Japan?
Thank you. In Japan, it is legally required for foreign companies to appoint a MAH to make regulatory submission to the PMDA and apply for insurance reimbursement with the MHLW. Success is highly dependent on having the depth knowledge of local regulatory requirements, followed by complex negotiations with both regulatory bodies. For OncoScreen Plus OSP, Genesis was able to leverage its extensive experience to successfully obtain CDX approval and insurance reimbursement in less than 1 year.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Looks like we have time for a couple more questions. Jenny, I'm going to ask you this one. How can you harmonize a single set of CDX submission documents to meet the requirements of multiple regulatory authorities?
To harmonize a single set of CDX submission documents for multi authorities, the key is to first design analytical and clinical studies from the outside to meet all three regions' requirements. Also, we need to consider generate a core data package that can be supplemented with region-specific modulars. Align the development timelines so that data collection supports simultaneous or sequential submissions. And we also can consider leverage policy alignments such as China's new policy to reduce divergence. So this approach enables a truly global CDX strategy where one IC and one data package support registration in the US, EU, and China.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. Looks like we have time for one more question. And Yuko, I'm going to throw this one to you. So Yuko, how does the involvement of pharma help with clinical and commercial success of the CDX following approval?
And thank you. In the case of OSP, Regenesis and AstraZeneca worked closely together. By harnessing AstraZeneca's robust network of medical representatives in Japan, it was possible to amplify outreach to breast cancer specialists at numerous major hospitals, effectively accelerating the path to capivasertib treatment for patients.
Okay, well, thank you both very, very much for your time today and your important research. Really appreciate both of your presentations. I want to thank LabRoots for hosting this event and for BurningRockDx for underwriting today's educational webcast. Before we go, I'd like to thank the audience for joining us today and their interesting questions. Questions that we did not have time for today and those submitted during the on-demand period will be addressed by both the speakers via the contact information you provided at the time of registration. This webcast can be viewed on demand. LabRoots will alert you via email when it's available for replay. We encourage you to share that email with your colleagues who may have missed today's live event. So once again, thank you all for your time and attention today. And until next time, goodbye.